So, I have an opinion about this. Like I've stated this before. You need to keep one eye open when you're dealing with a man that goes back and forth with women, argues. I mean, the woman is not his wife. The woman is not his girlfriend, his fiance. The woman is not somebody significant to him in his life. And even then, men that really truly care about the women that they love, even if they get into a back and forth, there's a line they normally don't cross, right? But I'm just talking in general. Like, you really, in my opinion, you need to check, like, look with one eye, like an eyebrow raised, when you deal with men that is willing to get into back and forth with women, want to, argue back and forth with women, want to get into like, when I say competition, not in that way, but like they feel threatened by a woman, so they feel like they have to stand up to a woman. You really need to check that guy, because there's a lot going on there. There's a lot. This academics character, man, I'm very relieved in a ways that this conversation is being had, because he's been going like this for a very long time. You understand? And now that more and more people are talking about his behavior, and talking about like his antics and calling him straight out like a weirdo, which in my opinion he's a weirdo. I think it's good. I also think it's good that he he can't go to the West Coast apparently. He can't go to the West Coast because of his antics. In any case, I think this is a good thing. I think it's good that more and more content creators are calling him out. I think it's good that more and more people are calling him out, because this type of behavior, outside of just the back and forth, he's arguing with a woman that is nobody to him, and threatening her online, talking about what he's gonna do, how he's gonna violate her. You really have to have an eyebrow raised and like one eye cocked to the side when you see men acting like this with women that they're not nothing, they have nothing together. You understand? There's a lot going on there. You understand? Along with his other antics, along with the other nonsense that he's been doing over the years, and he's been getting away with it. Um, so another thing, there's really not a lot going on in hip hop right now. I don't know what to do with that. I mean, I know, of course, everybody's talking about the tour, Mr. Lamar and SZA. Um, People are talking about this movie Sinners, which I have not seen. People are talking about various things, but I guess when they say that there's really nothing going on in hip hop aside from the drama right now, meaning maybe there are artists that are not uh, releasing new albums, new work, new projects, or if they are releasing new albums and stuff, it's not getting the traction, because people are preoccupied with the other stuff with Drake and Mr. Lamar and all this other stuff that's going on. So I'm thinking, if there's nothing really going on in hip hop right now, well, maybe this is the time for people in the culture overall to just do some introspection. Maybe some of these content creators can do retrospectives on prior works. Maybe they can do like a Ask Me Anything, an AKA stream about some of the more controversial topics that they've covered, and have viewers, call in or cam up and discuss those things. Maybe they can have like these broad-based discussions about hip hop culture, where it's been and where do they think it's going, or where do they think it needs to go. Maybe there could be some real deep dives on the art of music within hip hop and how it's evolved, because there's a lot of people, a lot of Gen Zers, a lot of Gen Alphas. Obviously, they don't know that much about hip hop aside from just the music that they grew up listening to, But maybe like there will be a different appreciation for the art form. If I, like I said, I'm focusing on Gen Zers and Gen Alphas. Clearly, there are many millennials themselves that don't know, but like just some really good analysis, some deep dives on the history and the culture and the art of hip hop, so that people can really know what it is that they're a part of. There's like many things that can be done during this season where people are like, there's not a lot going on. At some point, people want to talk about as much as people love Mr. Lamar and SZA and that tour, and it's a really big thing, and definitely keep that at the forefront and discuss it. But aside from that, there are other things that are going on that maybe people not are not aware of. I think it's wonderful when you can highlight some of the lesser known artists in different cities across the nation, even internationally, that people that are in the know, maybe this is the time to really highlight them so people know that even though it may be quiet in terms of mainstream hip hop as we know it, there's always going to be lesser known independent. So there's always a very thriving active scene underground, right? Of these up and coming artists that only like, people that are in underground that are tapped in, they're the ones that are really familiar with it. So if they're willing to be highlighted, if these indie documentary people that are tapped into the underground music scene and the art scene can get a hold of them and just sit and talk with them and talk about their music, their art, this would be a good time for that, I think, in my opinion. But there's always something to discuss. You understand? I think sometimes we get roped in if we're not discussing it in the mainstream that there's nothing happening. And I understand when they say there's really nothing going on in hip hop. I understand that they don't necessarily mean like there's absolutely nothing, but in terms of mainstream and what is happening in the mainstream culture, there's not a lot to discuss. But definitely in the with independent artists, with the underground music and art scene, there's always something going on. And it's so exciting when you get to like really interface and interact with fresh talent because they're so innovative and so forward thinking and it's inspiring. So yeah, and in terms of this academic academics DJ, what they're calling him, Acadiddy, Big Mac Snack Attack Academics, and all these names that they're coming up for him, in my opinion, well deserved because this guy has been just like a troublemaker for a very long time. And he has been really hiding behind the status and clout of Drake. But now that Drake's situation is crumbling, like I said this I will say it again. I said this last year. Mr. Lamar ended this man's career last year. I said it last year. I said, Drake, this man, Mr. Lamar, he has ostensibly ended your career. What are you planning to do about yourself? I mean, I was like, there are options that you could go about doing, but all of them are predicated on how you move.